pages belonging to the Kart Championship. We've got the C50 Comers making their way around onto the grid. It'll be a standing start, and it's Hendrix Fallat. He was beaten in the superheat by Kalman Simon. Fallat took the 2 heats. The superheat was Kalman Simon's, so this bodes very well for a good, strong final with these two sharing the front row. Will Wainwright won't be that far behind them. He shares row 2 with Ray Owen. We've got the bright green helmet of Benjamin Shivar sharing row 3 with Jensen Drummond. Santo Amico shares row 4 with Max Saint-Hilaire. And then row 5, Nico Veslovsky and Jensen O'Connor. The SW plate of Freddie Purnell shares row 6 with Lani Eden. Then we've got Shade Downey and Isaac Young on row 7. Row 8 is Oliver Bullock and Jacob Alexander. And then a 17 cart field rounded off by the beginner, Alfie Ward. So they'll make their way around, David. It'll be a standing start. These carts, petrol engined, a little bit different to the mighty Bambinos. They were electric powered. And they are a very, very technical cart to get right, aren't they?
They are very, very technical in terms of there's quite a lot going on in such a small engine. Difference in air pressure means that you're allowed to change the jet, which you're not allowed to do in some other classes. It's all about momentum with these Comers, which we've seen.
And smoothness.
And that's something about running up, and we've seen them. You can often go quicker sometimes going round the outside of corners because it gives you more of a run on the way out of the corner to keep the engine spooled up and keep the pace going. In this Comer C50 Bambino class, grid is being cleared at the front. We've still got
that's Benjamin Shivar, that's Sanel Shivar there, just the last off the grid there. We haven't got a green flag because of that. Treaded tyres for these C50 Bambinos, the treaded LeConte all-weather tyre we don't want these youngsters being caught out by a downpour, which can happen very frequently, obviously, in the UK. We get away, and it looks like Salmon has to slot in behind Hendrix Fallat. Kalman Simon does indeed slot in behind, and the C50 Comers off up the hill towards Christmas.
It's a good start by Ray Owen. He moves up quickly into third place in front of the fluoro yellow cart of William Wainwright, Benjamin Shivar. This has been the top 5 for most of this weekend, and as I mentioned there, all the way around the outside to maintain the lead is the number 10 of Hendrix Fallat. He leads them down the hill in front of the replica Ayrton Senna helmeted number 5 of Kalman Simon, running a seeded number from this championship. Everybody in single digits are the drivers that have won top 10 result last year in the championship, and they've earned the right to run those single digit numbers.
I keep calling it last year. It's this year, though, isn't it?
It is this year. It was
finished
last
in July.
Month. Yeah, last month, 2 months.
Yeah, a couple of months ago. Yeah, we're not quite out of it. Got the Winter Series yet. Here we go then. Fallat's already pulled a gap, and Simon has a lot of pressure behind him. Simon in the yellow helmet, the orange and black helmet of Ray Owen is the cart behind him, and then the bright yellow cart of Wainwright and the green helmet of Shivar. Like you said, David, these 5 have been the class of this field, but behind them, Santo Amico, Nico Veslovsky, Freddie Purnell, Jensen Druin, Max Saint-Hilaire, and that's Jensen O'Connor just outside the top 10.
Ray Owens with a huge push job there on Kalman Simon, both to close up on the leader Hendrix Fallat, who had a gap of almost half a second as they crossed the timing line at the end of the first lap. Has been reeled in early doors and then goes very, very wide. Will be alongside Kalman Simon, but Simon will be on the outside. He slots back in, and now it's Ray Owen's turn to run in the top trio. It's historically been Fallat, Simon and Wainwright's been that sort of third driver in this one throughout, as Ray Owen now in the mix in the black suit, although that doesn't help because they're all in black suits. So we've got orange helmet leads, yellow helmet leads, other orange helmets.
They all look black and orange carts as well. I know that Kalman Simon's got a black and gold John Player special. His dad's a big Senna fan. I think we can gather that by the Senna replica helmet. And he's got his cart liveried like Senna's GPS.
I think even the chassis is painted gold. It's squeezed.
That's a bit naughty.
Onto the grass by Hendrix Fallat.
Yeah.
Oh, he's still in the mix though.
That's a bit naughty. We'll get a look at that again as Simon comes along. He looks over his shoulder. That's what he's done himself a disfavour there. He looked over his shoulder and deliberately pulled to the right. I'm sure the officials I'm sure Drew will have something to say about that. Got to keep looking forward when you pull to the right. Pretend that you haven't seen anybody. That's the thing, dare I say.
You've said all weekend, Joe, let's send the Bambino footage to Formula One, and unfortunately that was straight out of Formula One. The driver pulls alongside and they run them out of track. It was Hendrix Fallat, who's been arguably, well, certainly the fastest driver all weekend. I'm sure he'll look back on that one and it won't be his finest hour, but there's still plenty of time for Kalman Simon to recover here, because what he's got is Benjamin Shivar acting like his wingman. It's almost like...
I can assure you, though, Shivar is waiting for an opportunity to go by. And it's the first time we've seen Shivar in the top 4. Shivar has been behind Simon, Will Wainwright, I should say, in the yellow cart, who seems to have dropped off these 4 now. We saw this in the Superheat, didn't we? Where Will was right with them and then kind of dropped back. They're coming back at them, though. Shivar in the green helmet, Simon in the yellow one. They are closing the gap back towards Raytheon and Hendrix Fallat, and if these two don't fight it out, it's all about momentum in these very underpowered Bambino karts. And bearing in mind, these drivers are 6 to 8 years old. There's every need for the engines to be underpowered.
Certainly is. Benjamin Shivar looked like he was going to go for an overtake in the middle part of that lap, but that was negated by the fact there was a yellow flag, because Jacob Alexander, who's retired from this race, there he is in the background. You can actually see him on screen. But it has actually done both Kalman Simon and Benjamin Shivar a huge favour, because rather than battling, they're now starting to once again reel in Fallat and Owen as Owen pulls out of the slipstream. Fallat with a long look to the inside, because he's going to find not only has he lost the lead, but he's lost second place as well to a superb move by Kalman Simon. Benjamin Shivar unlucky not to get through as well. And now Simon's going for the lead, and he does indeed get it done.
Incredible comeback from Kalman Simon, who only what feels like a moment ago was slewing sideways on the grass. The science is what brought him back into it. That slipstream effect on the straight is incredible. Considering they're only doing 45, 50 miles an hour, the slipstream effect just drew them alongside. And here we go again, round the outside for Simon. He will hang on to that, and he does indeed hang on to the lead, whereas these drivers didn't get the memo where it was just take it easy for about 10 minutes, lads, and then battle it out. They've gone hell for leather from the very outset, and we're only 30 seconds away from... We're not even at half distance.
We're not. Absolutely nose to tail, and no team orders at all for Coma Bambino. As to the inside comes Kalman Simon, Raith Owen, then it's Hendrix Fallat and Benjamin Shivar. As they cross the timing line, Benjamin Shivar's, I think he's got a loose...
Yes, got a loose
chain guard as well. I saw it over timing as well, but if it stays on, fine. If it falls off, not fine.
It needs to continue flopping about and not come off, because he will be black flagged if it does come off. Here we go then, 4 of them back together. Kalman Simon, Raytho and Hendrix Fallat, Benjamin Shivar. Shivar just not quite having enough to get in that top 3. He hasn't been in the top 4 all weekend, I think. He is now, though, the little man with the green helmet. I call him the little man. He's absolutely tiny when you meet him. He's got a big personality, though. And that green cart of Shivar will try to get on terms with these 3 carts ahead of him. That chain guard continues to flop around, though.
Kalman Simon, 5.5 minutes to go. The driver racing under the flag of Slovakia leads Raith Owen and Hendrix Fallat, with Benjamin Shivar from Bosnia and Herzegovina in 4th place. And then Shivar's going for 3rd. Down the inside, Raith Owen's going to... Hendrix Fallat drives round the outside and holds on, but now we've got a Noah's Ark, 2 by 2.
2 by 2, and Shivar showed his cards. He's absolutely showed his cards. And whether or not he can hang on to 4th place and get onto the rear bumper once again of Hendrix Fallat. Meanwhile, Raith Owen losing touch a little bit with Kalman Simon. You just know, don't worry, that's going to come back. In fact, all of these 4 are going to come back together, because that's the science of these Bambinos. The way they cut through the air, they make holes in the air for the carts behind them, and everybody just concertinas back up and comes back together. And here they are across the line. 7 laps completed, 4.5 minutes on the clock.
Absolutely, Kalman Simon doing the rest of them a favour, essentially, by punching that hole in the air, making the drivers behind them feel like they've got more power in the engine because they're not having to, and that's the slipstream effect that we've seen on a number of occasions, and now that's why we're finding drivers going to the inside.
Yeah, I noticed there, Falat defending very early on as well. I mean, 4 minutes on the clock. It's a bit early to be defending like that, but again, these Bambinos, especially at Christmas Corner there, they've got more than one line to choose from without really disadvantaging or losing momentum. So I suppose it's quite fine, really, to choose the inside line.
There is. The strange thing there is Hendrix Falat, who's, like I say, has arguably been the quickest driver, was defending Benjamin Shivar for third place, which has allowed Kalman Simon and Raith Owen here to break away. Simon with the yellow helmet leading, as he has done for the early part of this race, dropped back with that trip across the grass and has fought his way back up to lead Raith Owen.
I was talking to Kalman's dad in the toilet, actually, at the urinal, and it's funny what he told me. He told me that Kalman Simon's first race win was that superheat. So he's leading his second there with the yellow helmet. You know how much I love Senna, so you know I'm a big fan of that one. He's leading his second race, potentially with a checkered flag looming in 3 minutes' time. His dad's heart will be in his mouth.
Oh, it would be like a drum and bass record in his chest, won't it, at the moment, his heartbeat, as Kalman Simon leads from Raith Owen. Behind them, Hendrix Falat and Benjamin Shivar have appeared to calm down on the defending for a little while in a hope that they can go forward. Now, the battle between them, if they can push onto the back of Raith Owen, they've both got a chance of a podium. If they argue with each other, it's only going to be one of them. Well,
you know what? I'm surprised they haven't already closed that gap to Raith Owen, because Shivar hasn't been challenging. I think they're both really clever youngsters. It's incredible just how clever they are. They are beginning to make a little bit of an inroad, but we're going to have a back marker that's going to stifle Kalman Simon onto the straight. We're going to see him disadvantaged all the way to Christmas, and this is where Raith Owen can come back at him, but no, because Alfie Ward kept out the way. The blue helmeted Alfie Ward there, he's been really, really clever in keeping out of the way of the leaders as they come through, and he's just keeping to his line, and that's all you can ask from a back marker. Keep to your line. The faster carts will find their way around you.
Absolutely. We mentioned yesterday, this is not cars. They don't have to jump off the line. They stay on the line. The faster driver has to find the way through, because carts are so, you can turn them on a sixpence. So what you don't want is that unpredictability of moving off the racing line and the driver behind not knowing what's going to happen. Superb awareness from Alfie Ward. It did slow Hendrix Falat and Benjamin Shivar slightly. They caught in a slightly less advantageous place than what Kalman Simon and Raith Owen did. But Owen, I think, is going to be a little bit closer to Kalman Simon this time. It was 4 tenths on the previous. It does look fairly similar as they cross over, and it's bang on 4 tenths this time round with a minute to go.
Yeah, 2 laps actually. Just checked the time as they crossed. They're lapping in 64 seconds, so it's going to be 2 more laps of tension for Kalman Simon's dad to cope with. And to be honest, all of these parents on the barriers there looking at their child blasting around here at 50 miles an hour, hearts in mouths. Hopefully there's big smiles at the end of it for everybody at the moment. Big smiles from this commentary box, because this has been a fantastic race.
I think it could even be touch and go that we get an additional lap in. Could they cross the line with a few seconds to go?
I think we're inside.
Sure?
Yeah,
we'll find out. We've
about
got
69 seconds.
Yeah,
it was.
20. So we've got 20 seconds left on the clock in here as they run up towards the boot. This is the battle for third place with Hendrix Falat and Benjamin Shivar, but closing in on the lead.
It is.
They're going to cross the line, Joe, before the time elapses. It will be 3 laps. That one, this one, and the last one.
That's what I said. 2 laps after this one.
Are you sure?
Yeah. 2 laps after this. Didn't I?
We'll see.
Didn't I? I'm sure I did.
The guest of honour in the commentary box believes that you're lying to make friends, Joe.
Well, he knows me well, you see. He knows me far too well. Here we go then. Let's get back on track, David? Calling me a liar. How rude. Here we go. Kalman Simon now has for company Raith Owen. He's had him for company this whole race. And remember, Kalman Simon dropped down behind these carts and then came back through, didn't he? So fabulous drive for him so far. And what we're seeing here, no need for any kind of overly defensive driving as they go into the boot. If anywhere was going to be overly defensive, it was going to be here, and it's not happening.
No, they'll head towards the timing line. They'll be told on the overhead gantry that this will be the final lap of Whilton Mill. 1,200 metres separates Calmon Simon from victory. Raith Owen will try and wrestle it away from him on the run up towards Christmas Corner.
Here we go then for the final time, the run down the straight. This is Raith Owen's chance to out-drag him, get in the slipstream. Simon takes to the right-hand side, the defensive line. He scoots back across to take the optimum line through O'Shea's and now into Inkerman's. Ashby's is potential the last outbreaking spot for Raith Owen to have a go. He's not close enough though, David. And it's going to be a run to the two infield left-handers and then a run to the final complex of corners with Calmon Simon leading still. Raith Owen, time running out.
One final opportunity for me here for Raith Owen, but I'm not convinced he's going to be close enough to close in on Calmon Simon, who has a couple of nervous looks over his shoulder. Owen is indeed closer, but there's going to be very single file through this complex of corners for Calmon Simon and Raith Owen. Simon took a memorable first victory an hour ago. It's going to be an even more memorable second race victory for Calmon Simon, who wins at the Winter Series from a very happy Raith Owen with second place, and Hendrix Fallat joins them on the podium as he holds off Benjamin Shivar for third place.
What